Exactly. I think what you said was so important, Dr. Kujawa, about really it's what is needed perhaps in the society now. With the split, with the war, with the people turn against one another, somehow there's an invitation to be more whole, to heal the split, and maybe heal them through the goddesses or through the wisdom of Mary Magdalene. So maybe with that said, would you mind telling us a little bit more about perhaps the importance then of this, the figure of either the goddess or Mary Magdalene in mending the split, or providing us with the wisdom? As you said, there was the Gnostic Gospels, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, that provides ancient old wisdom that are still perhaps applicable to us today.
Yes, it is still, I absolutely believe that it's still applicable. And basically, in her teachings, she is saying this, that we have to balance, our own energies, and that we have to, and there's this beautiful question when somebody asks, what is sin? Right? And the answer is there is no sin. It's only, consequences of our actions that come from our lower self. Right? But if we make choices based on our higher self when we are already completely whole, right, then there is no sin, because you appeal to the higher, so to speak, to the higher self. So also what is interesting in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is that she is the person who insists on equality, so to speak, because other disciples, and we have to take their times into considerations, right? Women had no part in this, but the other disciples argued, what is she doing here? Why is she even allowed here? Right? And she kind of has to fight for her position, and it is being told that she's imbued with the Spirit and she's allowed to teach. So it is also, I think, represents all of us who perhaps were somehow pushed to the side, and just to speak up for yourself, to speak up for your truth as well, right? And first speak up also feminine truth, which is, by the way, I want to say this feminine truth exists both in women and men, because on the level of consciousness, so to speak. And when we think about modern times, I think what happened is that we completely suppressed feminine, and not only in erotic terms, which is perhaps we can discuss later if you want to in this interview, but also in our consciousness. So basically, we are talking about left brain, right brain, and so on, right? And basically, we are always going in our civilization with a logical brain, with a mathematical brain that is strategizing, and it's a good brain, right? Like it gave us, a civilization the way it is, but now I believe it's taking us in the wrong direction, because we are going in the direction of artificial intelligence and, this environmental destruction and so on. And, wars, this is the intelligence that takes us to wars and suppression. When there is this other form of intelligence, which I call the feminine intelligence, that Mary Magdalene, represents as the also representation of Goddess Sophia, which is the divine wisdom, is that it is much more complex and intuitive, so to speak. So that's why Goddess is often represented as a spiral, because this is the path of the Goddess. You cannot deduct the ways of the Goddess. You, in a way, have to tune into your intuition, which is actually your higher mind. And in every esoteric and even mainstream spiritual traditions speak about higher mind, so whether it is Buddhi, or is it intellection, or in more modern terms intuition, it actually expresses the wisdom of a divine feminine, which is much more intuitive. You have to really, and much more subtle. So that's why, for example, a meditation gets us there, right? Because this voice of a divine feminine is very quiet in us, because we didn't nurture this. In fact, we suppressed it, right? And the voice of the ego is much louder.
Exactly.